Big changes are kicking in for Alberta's COVID vaccine rollout.
It's an incredibly bad policy.
Fewer doses available, fewer places to get it, and it's no longer free.
Our provincial government is putting up barriers to access to the vaccine.
Plus, Air Canada flight attendants picket on a national day of action.
They need to pay their workers appropriately, first and foremost.
The issues that could lead to a strike by this weekend. And competing for Ottawa's attention and funding.
The West has been forgotten and ignored for far too long.
The big Alberta projects being pitched under the Building Canada Act.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Tara Nelson.
Hello and thank you for joining us. You can now pre-order your flu and COVID vaccines, but the province still has not decided how much it will cost most Albertans to get their COVID shot. A fee is being added because the government wants to cut down on waste. But health experts say this could create a medical backlog in hospitals because of healthcare inequity. Tyson Fedor explains.
Ryan Penyuk suffers with long COVID, and he says a COVID vaccine is now part of his life every year.
Just doing laundry in my house, I just noticed going up and down the stairs a lot. To give me complete exhaustion to the point where I just felt so sore. My muscles were all sore. I'd have to sit down.
On Monday, the province opened pre-order bookings for influenza and COVID-19 immunizations. Although free for those in senior care facilities and those with underlying health conditions, the remainder of Albertans will have to pay for a COVID shot.
Those who want it as sort of an extra measure of protection, they'll be able to pay the cost associated with that.
That price tag has not been finalized, but the province has previously used U.S. figures to estimate its loss at $110 per shot.
There was a lot of wastage, quite frankly. 54% of the product was going to waste, and that cost, we did a calculation, over $200 million over the last 3 years. We can't afford to be over-ordering on product that people aren't consuming.
I think, unfortunately, this is going to create a barrier where some people may not be able to get the vaccine if they want to.
More than 700,000 doses were administered last year. The province ordered less than 500,000 this year.
The only province or territory that's asking its citizens to pay for a vaccine which is safe and effective.
Alberta's former top doctor says the new rollout is creating barriers for those seeking an added layer of protection.
It's an incredibly bad policy. The province has made the vaccine less accessible. They've cut out 90% of the venues that it could be available at, which were the pharmacies.
As for Alberta's Federation of Labour, it advocates for public health care. Gil McGowan says healthcare and education workers are having to fork over money to pay for a shot when they are at risk every day.
Nowhere on the list are people who have increased likelihood of exposure due to their work. This is a recipe for a medical disaster.
And Tyson joins us from the South Calgary Health Centre tonight. Tyson, pre-ordering began today, so when can Albertans actually make a booking?
Well, Tara, the province does say it's important to know exactly how many vaccines are needed to minimize control and waste costs. Of course, those pre-bookings started today. You'll have until September the 30th if you would like to pre-book your influenza or COVID-19 vaccine shot. Now, if that deadline comes and goes, the province did say today that you will still be able to book an appointment after September 30th when that vaccine does become available. Tara?
Okay, Tyson, thank you. New measles cases are down in Alberta. 9 confirmed cases were reported since Friday, 7 in the north, 2 in the south zones. There have been more than 1,700 total confirmed cases across the province since March, primarily concentrated in the north and south zones. Police are investigating a road rage incident that injured one person. It happened around 9 o'clock this morning on Martin Valley Way Northeast. Investigators say what started as road rage ended with a person being assaulted with a weapon. The victim is in stable condition and one person is in custody. The 2 people seriously injured in a fatal crash in the Temple neighborhood last month are making progress in their recovery, but family members say there is still a very long way to go. Taylor and Jonathan Ramotour were on their way to the airport July 21st when they were hit head-on by a truck going the wrong way on 52nd Street Northeast. The truck also fatally struck a woman in her 50s as she was walking. Taylor and Jonathan suffered multiple broken bones and internal lacerations. A new update on their GoFundMe page page says Jonathan was recently able to stand while Taylor is slowly improving her mobility. The couple is able to visit each other every second day. Charges are still pending against the pickup truck driver. Air Canada flight attendants picketed at 4 major airports, including Calgary, today, after more than 99% of union members voted in favor of striking. They could walk off the job if negotiations for fair pay don't produce a deal by the end of the week. Alicia Fehlberg reports.
They're needed inside airplanes, but stand outside the airport in silent protest for better compensation. Air Canada flight attendants from Calgary walked out at the same time as their counterparts in Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto.
An entry-level flight attendant at Air Canada makes $1,952 a month. They have to live in Calgary, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver.
These level of wages are absolutely unacceptable, especially coming out of a 10-year contract, and especially considering how much Air Canada has profited.
Along with higher wages, they want to be paid for all of their work. Right now, they're only compensated for the time the plane is in the air and often do hours of unpaid work each day.
You can be on duty for 12 to 13 hours, and your credit would be just under 7 hours.
One expert says the pay is supposed to offset those unrecognized hours, but the contract signed 11 years ago lags far behind inflation.
The cost of living, we all know, has gone off the deep end, and that's why I'm basically saying 30 to 35%. And wage increases is not unheard of for this group.
The old ways are also changing, with Delta Airlines in the United States the first to start paying wages pre- and post-flight.
Flight attendants now have a precedent that's been set.
Contract talks with the airline started at the beginning of the year, and workers have now voted almost unanimously to strike if there isn't a deal soon. An Air Canada statement says it is determined to reach a fair and equitable collective agreement that recognizes the contributions of its flight attendants and supports the competitiveness and long-term growth of the company. While bargaining talks continue, travelers are taking it in stride.
Nobody likes to be held up, especially in an airport, but if it is their right to do so, then it's okay for them to do it.
They've probably got just cause. I'm sure it's working conditions. I'm sure it's too many hours, not enough pay.
All for them to have more money and everything. They're all pleasant, and I enjoy flying with them.
And Alicia joins us from Calgary International Airport tonight. Okay, Alicia, so what should passengers really pay attention to this week?
So, Tara, this isn't affecting any flights right now, but a strike could happen as early as this weekend, but there would have to be at least 72 hours notice. Now, experts say if you suspect that your flight might be impacted, don't cancel it or don't change anything before it's actually canceled, or you might not get the full compensation. Now, if your flight is impacted by a strike, the airline has to come up with an alternative for you. If you don't like that solution, you get to decide that you can request a full refund instead.
Okay, Alicia, thank you.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
Calgary has its own wish list for major infrastructure programs needing support from Ottawa. Proponents of a pair of rail proposals are seeking the short list on the federal government's Building Canada Act. As Jordan Canagan reports, Alberta is also pushing for pipelines to make the list.
As the Prime Minister considers nation-building projects to fast-track, Calgary is pushing for multiple regional proposals to make the list.
The West has been forgotten and ignored for far too long, and it is critical that we demonstrate what kind of projects we are ready to move on.
The mayors of Calgary, Canmore, Cochrane, and Banff all signing a letter to the feds pushing for a passenger train through the Bow Valley. The proposal is being called a transformational initiative between the Calgary Airport and Banff.
And to get 4 mayors to look regionally beyond their municipal boundaries is a big achievement and an important message that's being sent both to the province and to the federal government.
Calgary also wants to see its Prairie Economic Gateway plan streamlined. The multi-billion-dollar proposal for an inland port would be an industrial and manufacturing hub built along a railway corridor to send goods throughout North America.
I think we've long had good rail infrastructure in our country, and we haven't been maximizing its use. So I think it's time to build on what we have and also build more.
As the region advocates for rail, the Premier is pushing for pipelines. Danielle Smith has repeatedly pitched for pipelines east and west to make Ottawa's shortlist. Calgary's mayor says it shouldn't be just one or the other.
A pipeline is something that we have long been advocating for. So it can't just be one thing. We need to talk about everything that the West can deliver.
And Jordan joins us from City Hall tonight. So Jordan, what do the other levels of government have to say?
Well, Tara, the province says that it is on board with other municipalities advocating for transportation projects. The Alberta government actually has its own master rail plan that is being developed right now. It is supposed to be finished by the end of this summer. Now, there's no timeline on when we could see any type of shortlist for the Building Canada Act, though the Prime Minister recently saying that the Major Federal Projects Office will be up and running by Labor Day. Tara?
Okay, Jordan, thank you. Our weather took a turn for the better today. Danielle joins us now. It started out wet this morning, turned into a very sunny day.
Yeah, we had a lovely day out here today. Winds relatively calm. We did have some clouds build in over the last little bit, and we've been sitting at 21 degrees since the noon hour. Really nice day. Now, if you're ready for some summer heat, I have that in the forecast for you because it's going to be a hot one tomorrow. 21 degrees is still the temperature at the airport. Winds at this point just 11 kilometers per hour. So it's a quiet evening for us. Just expect some cloudy periods. Really, that's the only thing to talk about for the evening. While it does say gusts southeast 40, that is incorrect on the graphic. Okay, for tomorrow, all sunshine and a high of 28. With the humidity, it will feel closer to 30. This will be the hottest day of the next 10. I'll show you that coming up, Tara.
Thank you, Danielle. Wildfires remain out of control across our country. We'll head to Atlantic Canada next. More residents in Newfoundland are preparing to evacuate as fires grow in size there. And apprehension is rising for some Albertans on AISH. They are facing a deadline that could impact their benefits. We'll explain after a quick break. And if you have a news tip, you can text us anytime at 10-400. A quick response kept a fast-moving northeast duplex fire from spreading further. Fire crews were called to the 100 block of Falworth Court Northeast early this afternoon. When they arrived, they saw heavy smoke and flames. Everyone inside the duplex was able to get out, and crews had the blaze under control quickly. There was some heat damage to a neighboring home and no word on what caused the fire. A man was badly hurt in an explosion at a motel in the Northeast last night. The victim suffered third-degree burns in the explosion and fire. It happened on the 5th floor of the Emerald Hotel on Sunridge Boulevard. Damage was limited to just one room. The cause has not been confirmed. A dog was also injured and was taken to an emergency vet clinic. Fire broke out in an abandoned building in the southwest early this morning. The building's beside the Ship and Anchor pub on 17th Avenue. No one was hurt, and the damage is minor. Saturday night, fire destroyed a home in the community of Elbow Valley, just west of Calgary. Rocky View County firefighters responded to the scene just before 9 when flames broke out in a home on Clearwater Cove. Firefighters were able to control the fire to prevent it from spreading to neighboring homes. Everyone in the house was able to get out safely, so there were no injuries. No word yet on a cause there. Wildfires are burning in Atlantic Canada tonight, where the danger grows because of hot, dry weather. Several evacuation alerts have now been issued for communities in Newfoundland. Here's CTV's Garrett Berry.
As police stop traffic on the Trans-Canada Highway just outside of St. John's, above, a water bomber and a helicopter work to contain the spread of fire. Newfoundland Hydro is warning this smoke and the flames underneath could force officials to shut off power along these major transmission lines. That would cause a significant power outage in the St. John's area. Premier John Hogan told reporters they were forced to consider shutting down power to help firefighters earlier today, and officials will keep watching that possibility in the coming hours.
Well, that's why it's very important to make sure the assets are available to focus on this fire right now, and they're doing everything they can, of course.
This latest fire detected this morning, spreading firefighters even thinner in this province. The weather is no help. It's hot and windy, and it hasn't rained in St. John's in almost 2 weeks. Across the province, about 3,000 have been evacuated, most from a 50-square-kilometer fire burning in the province's Conception Bay North area. Some have been out of their home for a week.
And it's our childhood place that we always wanted to come back to, so it's a lot of emotion, very difficult.
The air assets, the helicopter, the water bombers working in this area, they had to come from other firefighting efforts in Newfoundland. Premier John Hogan says that's part of the reason why he was urging residents to be so careful when they were out in wooded areas all throughout the past week. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
In New Brunswick, people are being warned to be ready to flee as firefighters battle 3 out-of-control blazes. People in 4 communities in New Brunswick are being told to get ready to leave their homes on short notice. Officials say everyone in the province should have an evacuation plan in place. Teams from Nova Scotia, PEI, and the state of Maine are expected to join the fight against the fires.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
We'll have a very hot day tomorrow.
Yep, and calm winds, lots of sunshine. I feel like it's a day for golfing for us, Tara, in the morning. Maybe we step out there, give it a try. It's our best chance of having, I don't know, a decent golf game because the wind will not be in the way tomorrow. The sun will be bright and we'll get some summer heat. We haven't seen a ton of that. It will be much hotter tomorrow. 21 degrees is really the temperature that we've been sitting at since noon at the airport in Calgary. 23 in Banff, so a little warmer in Banff. And then mainly in those low to mid 20s, mid for Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, up through Brooks and Drumheller at the moment. Again, it will be much warmer for today. So on average today, most communities in the southern part of the province have been about 2 degrees below normal, and we're going to all be above normal for tomorrow. And most communities will crack that 30-degree mark. What we have is that ridge of high pressure in place is just starting to push back in, and so starting to push all of the cloud cover and any of that rainfall. We had a little bit of that earlier today off to the east, and it's going to be redirected around us for tomorrow, giving us lots of sunshine. So if you've been missing summer, considering it hasn't really felt like summer very much through July and so far this August, well, here you go. So this ridge of high pressure is going to continue to build, which will allow temperatures to climb even higher for tomorrow. We'll have one extra day of heat in the far south. So Lethbridge over to Medicine Hat will even be hot on Wednesday because it will still be in, the ridge of high pressure will still be affecting those areas. Calgary, though, we're going to lose the heat by Wednesday, and it will get a little unstable as well, especially later in the day. So for this evening, just some cloud cover, nothing really to talk about. Tomorrow, all sunshine, as you can see, because that ridge of high pressure will redirect all the cloud cover and any sort of moisture around us. Wednesday, though, it will start to, the jet stream will start to track towards us, and that's going to bring in some cloud cover. It will be windy on Wednesday, and then after 3 p.m., we get into the potential for showers, heavy at times, and even some thunderstorm activity is possible, especially Calgary and up the QE2. Okay, 28 degrees as our high for tomorrow, so a whole lot of sunshine and a very bright summery day. On Wednesday, the clouds will increase. The winds will pick up as well. And we do have the potential to pick up about 3 to 5 millimeters of rain in some localized areas because we're looking at getting those showers and thunderstorm activity. 21 degrees, so a big difference again in quite a cool down for Wednesday. We likely won't even crack the 20-degree mark for Thursday, but we'll be back just barely to the 20s by Friday. That's your Action Furnace 5-day forecast, Tara.
Thank you, Danielle. It is less than a month until the September 5th deadline for the 77,000 AISH recipients in Alberta to show they have started applying for the new federal Canada Disability Benefit. It's a $200 benefit none of them will actually receive because the government of Alberta is keeping the money for itself by clawing it back. Kevin Green explains.
The province says the $200 a month federal Canada Disability Benefit payment will be counted as non-exempt income, meaning it reduces Alberta income for the severely handicapped support by the same amount. But even though those on AISH won't see a dime of it, recipients are required to apply or lose benefits.
Demanding that those people get that money and hand it over or suffer retribution for not doing so. That to me is a textbook case of extortion.
As this map shows, Alberta is the lone exception in Canada in clawing back the federal money. Declining an on-camera interview, a provincial spokesperson characterized the move as standard practice, saying it has been a long-standing requirement for AISH recipients to apply for all other income you may be eligible for, including federal programs. This is not new. The statement goes on to say Alberta provides the highest level of support in Canada. That means little when viewed in context, according to the head of Inclusion Alberta. The maximum AISH payment is $1,901 a month.
I'm not sure it matters that it's the highest. We shouldn't be content to keep people in poverty just because they're less in poverty than maybe someone else.
Some ACE recipients like Shyla Brandt say the CDB could have allowed her to afford something she can't right now, to both pay the rent and eat. Seeing it clawed back by the province hurts.
Because it makes me feel like, well, we're third-class citizens in a first-class world.
Advocates want the province to reverse its decision and let recipients keep the federal benefit.
There isn't one person I've talked to in this province who thinks this is the right thing to do.
The federal government says it has tried to encourage Alberta to let qualified people keep the CDB benefit, but it says ultimately that decision is left up to the provincial government. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
For full details, including how to apply for the Canada Disability Benefit, the eligibility rules, deadlines, and links to both the federal and provincial websites, you can visit our website. Well, be aware if you're heading to K-Country, more than a dozen bear warnings and closures are in place. Why so many this year? And Alberta's premier is on a trade mission, how Danielle Smith plans to forge more trade with Mexico. The number of bear warnings and area closures in Kananaskis country continues to grow. It's prompted the deployment of a team of experts now to educate locals and tourists about how to be safe. Kathy Lee has more on the boom in bear encounters this year.
Amidst the beauty in Kananaskis, the land bursts with berries. And where there are these juicy fruits, there are bears.
With bear spray.
An increase in Bruin activity in the area.
They're all over the place. Black bears and grizzly bears.
Prompted Derek Ryder and his team to set up at the Canmore Nordic Centre to alert visitors.
This is really important, especially for tourists who don't live here or are knowledgeable.
Alberta Parks confirms there are now 17 bear warnings and closures in various popular areas in Kananaskis country. The Forestry and Parks Ministry says in July and August, bears are focused on eating as many buffalo berries as they can. The reason there have been an increase in human and bear encounters is because of the bumper berry crop, thanks to ideal weather.
We had a great amount of rain, but we also had warm at the right time.
Alberta Parks advises visitors to make noise, travel in groups, be aware of surroundings and bear warnings, keep pets on a leash, and carry bear spray anytime they're on the trails. These are precautions Howard Maw now takes every time in the backcountry after a grizzly lunged at him and his wife on a trail in Kananaskis country last month.
The lesson for us is that no matter what, if it's a short hike, even if you think it'll be a popular one with lots of people around, always be prepared.
The province says it's always looking for new ways to improve human-wildlife coexistence with various strategies to teach bears to be wary of people.
All the bear cares about is his berries.
But education for people about the bears also crucial.
If you run across a bear, stop, talk, walk. Stop. Assess what that bear is doing. If it's just got its head in the bush and it's just eating, leave it alone.
Sound advice so that animal and human can both enjoy the beauty of nature and go home happy. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Kananaskis country.
Keep your eye on the sky this week. You'll need to stay up late, get clear of the city lights a little bit, but the Perseid meteor shower should be a sight to behold. The details are just ahead. This week is the best time to see the summer's most visible meteor shower. CTV's Marian Valdez-Carletti has more on how to see it and what makes it so special.
Starting tonight, the sky in parts of Alberta will be lit up by the Perseid meteor shower.
That means that if you go outside, you can look up and you can see these little streaks of light crossing the sky.
TELUS World of Science planetarium manager Frank Florian says it's the best summer meteor shower anyone can experience. He says this year, bright moonlight could impact visibility.
The exact number of meteors will probably be less than what people are telling you of looking up and seeing up to 90 to 100 meteors per hour. It'll probably be less than that.
Florian says for the best chance at seeing some meteors, you should aim to be out at 2 or 3 in the morning and travel away from bright city lights.
A lot of people I know, including myself, usually like to try driving away from these urban locations with a lot of light pollution, try to find a nice dark location somewhere.
That leads hundreds of people to flock to Elk Island National Park.
It's very, peaceful and tranquil. It's just a great, beautiful spot.
spot to watch the night sky.
Elk Island is preparing for an influx of visitors due to the meteor shower. Last year's Perseid meteor shower brought 800 vehicles into the park, meaning some people were turned away.
One thing we want to remind visitors is just given our capacity and some of the safety risks, free admission here at Elk Island National Park doesn't always mean free entry.
The overcrowding at the park has caused safety issues and animal fatalities.
Excessive noise, illegal parking, and just blocking emergency access.
The park's busiest day on record was last year's Aurora Borealis, which saw 2,500 vehicles come in one night. Park officials say far fewer people will be allowed in this week. It's advising people to have a backup plan to watch the Perseid meteor shower.
There's beautiful places around in Strathcona County, Lamont County, Beaver County, Métis Crossing.
Plenty of options for Edmontonians to catch some of the out-of-this-world views. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
And Calgarians too, right, Danielle? We have a pretty good chance of seeing it here.
Absolutely. You know, the clouds are not going to get in our way for the next couple of nights when it's supposed to be at its peak. However, the moon is going to be so bright, almost a full moon, that may be bright enough to kind of dim what we could see with the meteor shower.
Got to get out of the city, though. Got to get away from the city lights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Still worth a shot because it's stunning.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, it's a new week, so why not reach for your dreams? He's trying. He's dreaming of a salad, but this poor alpaca can't quite get it. He's not quite tall enough. The neck is not quite long enough.
Story of my life, by the way.
But he is dancing pretty good to Uma Paloma Blanca. I will say that. So.
He's trying. It's just not quite.
Oh, boy.
Well, have you ever noticed that some people live in such a state of zen, they aren't bothered by much? Everyone turned to look and see what that noise was. This lady with her squeaky suitcase, she's like, seems like a you problem.
Yeah.
She wasn't even paying attention.
No.
It's like, whatever.
She was the one with the chalkboard, right?
That's right.
Fingernails.
Exactly.
Yeah,
obviously didn't bother her, but everybody else sure noticed. Well, there seems to be two kind of grandparents in the world. Those who are a little more serious, and that's okay. And then those who want to be in the middle of the fun.
He was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize in 2000.
Oh, my goodness.
When you got a loft space, I think that invites all sorts of shenanigans. Like this kid launching his suction arrows right onto his granddad's bald head. Two of them land perfectly, and yeah, he turns into Shrek.
Yeah, exactly. He looks. That's exactly it.
He's happy to play along. You got to keep the grandkids entertained in the summer. Yeah,
absolutely.
What a cool grandpa.
He probably got a good laugh out of that too. Still to come, Donald Trump pledging to crack down on crime in Washington, D.C. The president says he's deploying the National Guard to make the Capitol safer.
All right, your Skywatch weather camera. Yep, we have some clouds. That's really the only thing to talk about for this evening because it's just stable, it's dry, and it will continue to heat up. So tomorrow, it will be a hot one. You know, we're looking at getting to 28 in Calgary, and it'll feel more like 30 with the humidity. So a difference from today. Today, 21 degrees has been our high, and we've actually been sitting at 21 degrees really since noon. 23 in Edmonton, Regina, and then check out east. Wow, into the 30s, even the mid-30s for Fredericton, and with the humidity feeling well into the 40s in many communities out east. So we're not going to get that hot. We'll get that, you could say, more comfortable heat for tomorrow, but it will feel and look like summer out there tomorrow. Ridge of high pressure, which is starting to, basically is to the north, but is starting to shift off to the east, so that's pushing the clouds and the moisture off to the east as well. So we're looking at sunshine for tomorrow, stability, calm winds, so if you're a golfer, good day for that too. 16 degrees to kick off the day in the morning, and then getting to a high again of 28 with feeling like more like 30 with that humidity. That's your 24-hour forecast, brought to you by Action Furnace. Fix right or it's free. Okay, let's take a little dance around. I'll show you the temperatures expected for Kamloops. Wow, in Kelowna, mid-30s for tomorrow, 26 for Edmonton with mainly cloudy skies. And further to the south, it's all sunshine. Olds down through Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat. You may see some cloudy periods in the morning, but then it should clear out for the afternoon hours. Okay, let's look at that 10-day trend here. And tomorrow in Calgary will be the hottest day of the next 10 days. Will be a little cooler for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but we'll bounce back to those mid-20s by the weekend.
Thank you, Danielle. Albertans can now pre-order COVID and flu vaccines. It's expected to cost most Albertans more than $100 per COVID shot. One former chief medical officer calls it an incredibly bad policy. Air Canada flight attendants picketed at the Calgary airport today. They could go on strike as early as Saturday. And Calgary is urging Ottawa to put major rail projects on the short list for its Building Canada Act. The mayors of Calgary, Canmore, Cochrane and Banff all signed a letter to the Prime Minister pushing for passenger service. Premier Daniel Smith is promoting more Alberta-Mexico trade in Mexico City.
I think every single province should be sending a delegation down here because when you look at the trade relationship, it's about $55 billion for all of Canada. Alberta's trade relationship is about $3 billion. The biggest relationship we have is, in fact, in auto parts and auto manufacturing because of the integration that we have between the Canada, U.S. and Mexico market.
Smith is meeting with government officials and private sector and industry representatives. She wants to encourage new investment and to strengthen ties in agriculture and technology. This is the first official visit to Mexico by an Alberta premier since 2019. The RCMP is introducing a drone corridor along part of the Canada-U.S. border. Drones will patrol the border in Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba in what the RCMP says is a trial. They'll target illegal activity, including smuggling and drug trafficking. The RCMP has increased its presence at the border as part of Ottawa's $1.3 billion pledge to boost security in an attempt to stave off tariffs from President Donald Trump. There is more bad news for Canada's forestry sector in the wake of the Trump administration's decision to more than double penalties on softwood lumber imports. Officials in BC say the move doesn't just hurt Canadian business, but it will drive up construction costs for Americans. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the details.
We've sent our student workers home a month early for the summer. And we're going to, we quite honestly, we're going to try to keep our mill, which employs 25 people in Chilliwack, going.
Andy Riley says things are urgent for his business and the entire softwood lumber industry. The trade war and the new Department of Commerce decision to raise tariffs, which along with counter-dumping duties total just over 35%, adds up to the most challenging time he's seen in 40 years.
We have to put that duty onto our sale price. And what happens to our customers is sometimes their sales slow down and their customers will start substituting for composite products or other hardwoods or other softwoods, whatever. But we are in danger of pricing Western red cedar completely out of the market.
BC's Minister of Forests called the U.S. move absurd and reckless, while the federal Natural Resources Minister said the industry has for too long been subject to unfair trade actions and the tariffs hurt Canadians and Americans alike. The U.S. decision comes after the Prime Minister promised supports, including $700 million in loans and $500 million to support market diversification.
Canada does not dump lumber into the United States, and we will continue to make the case that these current and proposed duties are unjustified.
The industry largely welcomed Ottawa's move, but Andy Riley says his group is working on pitching some other ideas to the feds. They're looking for help to pay the difference in duties between their raw materials cost and the sale price, which is what's so crippling about the new tariffs. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Bick's pickles are disappearing from the shelves of some Canadian retailers because of the trade war. Bick's began as a Canadian company, but it was acquired by an American company more than a decade ago, and production has moved to the U.S. Checking the Monday markets now, the TSX is up 17 points to 27,775. The Dow slipped 201 points to settle at 43,975. The Canadian dollar is down about 1/5 of a cent to 72.54 U.S. Crude oil is up 8 cents to $63.96 a barrel. And our fix on Western Canadian Select, it is down to $50.72 a barrel. During a fiery White House news conference, U.S. President Donald Trump placed the U.S. Capitol under federal control, deploying the National Guard and sidelining local police. He was also pressed for details about Friday's upcoming meeting with Russia's president. Michael Couture reports.
Now, today's press conference was all about President Trump flexing his muscle, saying that only he can clean up the U.S. Capitol, and adding that no one else can broker a deal to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor.
The U.S. president describing it as Liberation Day in D.C. In a bid to crack down on crime, Trump is placing Washington under federal control while also deploying the National Guard.
But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
On the streets of D.C., protesters pushed back on the idea that the Capitol isn't safe. And Mayor Muriel Bowser said violent crime is at its lowest level in more than 3 decades.
If they can place us under military control without our consent, they will carry this playbook to every community that dares to push back in the United States of America.
While using his authority on the Capitol, President Trump was asked how he'll push Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday in Alaska, in what Trump is describing as a feel-out meeting.
Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine.
Trump also used the term land swap, indicating that Ukraine could also have to give up some territory. Ukraine's president is not invited to the talks, and in his nightly address, cast doubt that Friday's meeting will bring peace.
На що розраховує Путін і до чого реально готується?
Volodymyr Zelensky said Putin is not getting ready for peace, but instead is getting ready for a new military offensive.
Zelensky also spoke to Prime Minister Mark Carney today, where the two leaders agreed international borders cannot be changed by force, and that any decision on Ukraine's future should be made by Ukrainians. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
SpaceX deployed the latest batch of Amazon satellites into low Earth orbit today.
3, 2, 1, 0. Engines full power and liftoff. Go Piper, go Falcon.
Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Florida's Cape Canaveral this morning. It was carrying 24 satellites that will be used for a constellation designed to provide fast, affordable broadband to unserved and underserved communities. This was the 67th orbital rocket launch this year from the Space Force Station. Police in BC pulled over a driver for obvious reasons. You can see a gas nozzle was dragging from his SUV after a fuel up. Police say the driver was a little angry he'd been pulled over until the problem was pointed out. They say his embarrassment was punishment enough. They let him off with a warning. Hundreds of young football players will compete in Calgary this coming weekend. They're also supporting a worthy cause. Glenn has more on the big event coming up next. If you're looking to be part of next year's FIFA Men's Soccer World Cup, volunteer applications have now opened. Thousands of volunteers will be needed in Vancouver and in Toronto in multiple areas, from fan experiences to event logistics. In October, FIFA will start holding volunteer team tryouts. Vancouver will host 7 games and Toronto hosts 6 games starting next June. The Calgary Surge are playing some of their best basketball at just the right time. Glenn is back with us, and Glenn, the playoffs start this week in the CEBL.
Tara, the Surge are heading into the playoffs on a real hot streak after last night's win over Niagara. They've won 4 in a row. The CEBL playoffs get underway on Thursday night for the Surge as they host the Edmonton Stingers at Winsport. Tip-off for that game is at 7:30. The Surge ended up as a number 2 seed in the Western Conference and are riding a high heading into the postseason. Last night, the Surge wraps up the regular season with a 94-76 victory over the Niagara River Lions. The Surge head into Thursday night's matchup on a 4-game winning streak. And once again, tip-off for Thursday night's game, 7:30 over at Winsport. The 15th annual preseason Pee Wee and Bantam Football Jamboree is going on all day at Shoaldice Park on Saturday. But as we see in this report, the Jamboree isn't all about football. It's all quiet right now at Shoaldice Park, but on Saturday, it'll be jammed with 750 football players from 19 teams. This is year 15 for the Football Jamboree. 14-year-old Mateo DeLuzio of the Mavericks is playing in his 5th.
Oh, it's just really great because you get to go into this tournament before the season, and it's to really show off your skills and to see how your team's going to be.
For 14-year-old Max Piatelli of the Cowboys, this will be his 3rd time playing at the Jamboree.
Well, I think it's an amazing way to start off the season, obviously get everybody out there and to warm everyone up for the actual season, but also to make connections and make friends with other players and coaches.
But the Jamboree is more than just about football. In its first 14 years, it's raised over $500,000 for the Ronald McDonald House, and some of the stories hit home.
For instance, I had a player from 20 years ago whose daughter stayed in the Stollery Hospital, and they lived in Ronald McDonald House for a year and a half while their daughter had a heart transplant and things like that. We had another player just 2 years ago that played Bantam, and he had to go all the way to Fort Lauderdale, Florida for his cancer treatments, and Ronald McDonald covered his expenses and his stay at the house.
For the players, it's a chance to get ready for the upcoming season, but also to give back, and they say that is so important.
Well, that means a lot to us. Obviously, at every organization, I think they stress giving back and learning the importance of giving to the less fortunate, or just sharing your wealth in general.
Oh, it feels amazing, right? Because we get to help other people while we get to play the sport that we love. It's the best. And at the Children's Hospital, it's really good because my sister, she injured herself, and they were really good there. It was amazing.
All right, the Jamboree is only going on for one day. That's Saturday at Shoaldice Park. Ponoka surfer Bailey Rush just keeps racking up the wins. Yesterday at the 2025 World Games, Rush made history by winning the sport's first gold medal in the women's wake surfing. This makes the first time that wake surfing has been included in the World Games, showcasing it to the world. Rush is a 6-time world champ, 3-time Canadian champ, a U.S. champ, a European champ, and now a World Games champ. What a career she has had so far.
Good for her. That's amazing. How exciting.
That's some talent right there.
You could very well spend the whole day on the water tomorrow.
Yes. And tomorrow is also Glenn-approved golf weather.
Yes.
I'd like to... He didn't get much of that on his summer vacation.
No, I didn't, Danielle.
I'm sorry to rub it all in there, Glenn. 28 degrees is our high for tomorrow. All sunshine, calm winds. Oh, my goodness. No matter what, get outside, enjoy it if you can. Windy for Wednesday, and then by 3 o'clock, we get into the chance of showers and thunderstorms, and just a high of 21. So cooler, as you can see, for Wednesday, Thursday, in through Friday as well. We'll be back to the mid-20s by the weekend, though. Okay, weather window brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. Matt Melnick sent this one in. So this is actually northern lights combined with the Perseid meteor shower, which you can see from basically mid-July, but the peak nights for the next couple nights.
Cool shot. Thanks for your company tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.